Hi everyone, it's Dina and welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving into an exciting stash busting bead weaving tutorial where we will make my fabulous Regal Picture earrings. If you're interested, I also have kits available in my Etsy shop. Each kit will include everything you need, such as the ZoliDuo beads, 6mm gemstone round beads, Ginko beads, and Miyuki seed beads in various sizes. Plus, you'll receive a handy findings pack with 5 stunning color options, including purple hematite and mint confetti. There's something for everyone. So let's get down to our bead on it board and start our earrings. Before we get started with the tutorial, you may be asking, what is a stash busting tutorial? It is my tutorial featuring items straight from my personal bead collection, and I have enough supplies left over to create special kits available in my Etsy shop. Each of these kits will include all the beads you need to complete the tutorial, along with some necessary findings. I make sure that every multi-hole bead is double-checked for clogged holes before packaging. The best part about this is that you only pay for the beads you use at the original price I paid. For example, if I use 25 beads from a 50 count strand that cost me $1, you only pay for the 25 beads, which is 50 cents. And if you buy $35 or more from my shop, you get free shipping. Quantities are limited because these are kits from my personal stash, but there are multiple color combinations available. So if you choose not to buy the kits, or if you already have the beads at home you want to use, that's just fine. Just follow along with me and I will teach you how to make these earrings. So the supplies that you're going to need are going to be ZoliDuos, and ZoliDuos come in the left version and the right version. If you're not familiar with a ZoliDuo is a multi-hole bead that has a set of holes, or sets of holes in the bead from up here at the top, and then also down here at the tip. And it's flat on one side, so in the bottom where it's sitting on my finger, it's flat, and then it's raised on the other side. Now the bead itself, you can tell which way it is as far as the orientation as to which way the tip of the bead is pointing. When I'm holding it in this fashion with the flat side down up on top of my finger, the left, or the little tip portion, is pointing to the left. The other side, which is the right one, the right version, see, now you can see that the difference is that this one's pointing to the right. So this one is a right facing ZoliDuo, this one is a left facing ZoliDuo. So you'll need, per earring, you'll need 2 of each of those. You'll also need some Ginko beads, which are also 2-hole beads. You have a hole that's over here on the left of the bead, and a hole that's over here on the right of the bead. You'll need a 6mm gemstone, or you can even use just a 6mm round of any type that you would like. You also need 3 different sizes of Miyuki seed beads. Now I usually have mine lined up where it is the smallest to the largest, but I have them mixed up because my 8-Os are crystal color, which you can't see on the mat, so I put it on a little bit of a black felt here so you can see it. And then my 15s are a gray color, which there again, you still can't really see that on the mat because the mat is gray in color as well. So that's why those 2 are sitting there. And then I have my 11-Os sitting here. You're also at the end going to need a wire guard, or a ear wire of choice, whichever one that you would like. And then in my case, I'm using a jump ring, but you can also use a wire guard if you like. It's a preference on that one. As far as the needle is concerned, I have a size 11 needle. You may have to move to a size 12 on some of these passes through some of the 15s. We go through it a couple of times, and just depending on the coating of the bead that you use, you may have to use a smaller size needle. So I'm starting off with an 11, and I may have to move down to a 12 just in case. And as far as the thread's concerned, I am using a gray thread today because I feel like that's going to work best with my seed beads. And I have, for the full set, or the full pair, you're only going to need about 3 feet of thread. So I have about 1.5 feet, 2 feet or so on as my length right now that we're going to start off with. So those are the supplies that you will need. And once you get those set and ready to go, just meet me back and I'll show you that first step. Alright, so for this first step, we're going to go through the middle portion of the earring. So we're going to add all the beads here in this middle portion, and then we'll go to one of the sides and then come back and do the other side on other clips. So to start off, we're going to start with our ginkgos. I'm going to pick up the ginkgo to where the tip of the ginkgo is facing me, and I'm going to go through the right side of the ginkgo. So this is, if I can get it in my hand the right way, there we go. So I'm going through the right side of the ginkgo, and then we're going to pick up 3 of our 11s, and then we're going to pull this down towards the end of the thread, just to leave a little bit to where you can hang on to, so whatever you're comfortable with holding on to there. And what you want to do is go back down the other side of the ginkgo. So now we're going through that other hole on the other side. So now your 3 11-ohs sit just like that. Now we're going to put beads on this side. On this side we're going to pick up a 15, 3 11s, and a 15. And then we're coming out of this hole on this side. We're going to go back through the original hole. Actually, before we do that, we need to tie off. I almost forgot to tie off. Okay, so now you have your 5 beads. You have your 15, your 3 11s, and your 15. Before we go back through that other hole of the ginkgo, we're going to tie off. So we're just going to carefully make a knot where it's right over left and left over right. And then when you pull on this, it should complete the knot, but as you can tell, it's still kind of loose a little bit. So just continue to be careful, and that 15-0 is trying to get into that knot. Let's not do that. That 15-0 knows I'm recording, so it's trying to be difficult. There we go. So then complete your knot that way. And then when you pull tight, and I have lotion on my hands, so I can't pull tight very well. When you pull tight, it will pull your knot close to the product, like that. And if that ends up being a little loose, like it is a little bit on my side, that's fine. We're going to go through these beads several times, so it will tighten up here shortly. So now we can go through that ginkgo. So now we're going through the same hole that we started with. When you pull this, it should pull that knot through, and it kind of tightened up just a little bit, just like that. So to continue on to add the rest of the center portion, we're going to go through the first 2 11s that are there. Trying to make sure this is clear enough for you. So we're coming out of that second 11 that we added. This is where we pick up our gemstone, or whatever 6mm round that we want. Then we're going to pick up 1 more 11. We're going to let these beads fall to the product, just like that. Then we're going to skip over that 11 that we just added, and we're going to go back through the gemstone bead, or the round. And what we're doing is we're trying to get that 11-0 to sit on top of that gemstone. To complete this, because we need to get back up here again, we're going to go back through the second seed bead down here in that 3 seed bead combination, and we're going in the same direction. So we started off originally going this way to add your gemstone up here in the other seed bead, so we need to go in that same direction. This way you'll have a thread on the left side of this middle seed bead plus the right side of the middle seed bead. So once you do that, and you pull, now you have your gemstone on. So now we need to get back up here again. So we're going to go back through our gemstone. Then we're going to come out our seed bead. Does not matter which side you go to, because you're going to be doing the same thing on either side. You just have to make sure that this next what are we adding? Ginko, this next Ginko that we add is in the correct orientation. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and go through from the right to the left. So I'm coming out of the left side of that 11-0. We're going to add one 11-0. Then we're going to add our second Ginko bead. And we're going from the rounded side towards the pointed side this time. So it's going to look like this in a second. So now we need to add the beads that are here at the top, and that combination again was a 15, 3 11s, and a 15. And then we're going to go down the other side of that Ginko that we're working on right now. Then we need to complete the 3 beads underneath the Ginko. We already have 2 sitting there, so we only need to add just the 1. So 1 more 11-0, and then go back through the 11-0 that's sitting just above the gemstone. That is the center 11-0. And when you pull tight, there again, some things may be a little loose, which is fine. We're going to go through some of these a second time, so it'll work out here in the long run. Just trust me. So that's what you should end up looking like. So go ahead and get that center portion done, and then meet me back, and then I'll show you how to start the side portions. Alright, so when you get caught up with that first step, you should be coming out of that middle seed bead up here at the top that is connected to the gemstone round. So now we're going to get to where we start adding our ZoliDuos around this top edge. Then we'll add one of the sides, go down here, add the ZoliDuos down the bottom, and then come back up and add one of the last side. So to do that, we're going to continue through that left bead that's on the right, the left seed bead, and continue through the Ginko bead. Now I'm going to flip this in my hand just because it's a little bit easier for me to work on the right side of my products than it is the left side, so I don't feel like I'm reaching over the camera view for you a little bit. I do that a little bit more when I'm doing off the left. So now we're going to add 3 seed beads. We're going to pick up a 15, an 11, or excuse me, a 15, an 8, and a 15. So there's those crystals again. And then we're going to pick up one of our ZoliDuos. We're going to pick up our right ZoliDuo because I'm coming out of the right side here. And we want our ZoliDuo to sit like this. Seeing if I can get it in my hands correctly. We want it to sit like that with the Ginko bead. So we're going through that upper hole, the bigger portion of the ZoliDuo, going from the tip side to the outer side, because this is the tip side, this is the point where the point is the tip is pointing. So we're going from the tip side to the outer side. Then we're going to add 4 11-0s, and this is just to decorate the outside of it to get from one hole to the other. So 4 11-0s. Then we're going to do just that. We're coming out of that upper hole, or the larger hole. We're going to go down through the smaller hole near the tip. So it just goes directly through that. Then that decorates the outer portion of your ZoliDuo with some beads. Now we're going to go through the Ginko bead that's sitting there from the rounded edge towards the point. So we're going in the same direction. We basically just made a circle around everything. When you pull everything down a little bit, you want to make sure that your ZoliDuo sits kind of behind your 11-0s. It gets a little tight in this section right here. That tip can sometimes get in the way and actually push the 11-0s towards the back of the earring. We want the 11-0s actually to stand out towards the top. So if that happens, just make sure that your ZoliDuo is towards the back a little bit, and then that should allow your 11-0s to stick out some. So now we need to get over to this side to be able to add the ZoliDuo on this side. So we're coming out of that hole in the Ginko still. we're going to go through the combination of the 15, 311s, and 15 that we added on the first step. Make sure you're not going through the 15 that you added on this step. We don't go through that just yet. And my computer keeps trying to turn off. So now we're going through that last 15. We need to continue through, is that right? Yeah, continue through the Ginko on this side. And again, we want to make sure that we don't go through those 11 O's there. Those 11 O's need to stay there. And I am twisting this around in my hand again, so I hope I'm not losing anybody. On this one, oh, see, my Zoli actually got loose. Let me see if I can tighten that real quick. Yeah, it got a little loose. Okay, that's fine. But that's what I was trying to prevent happening. You see where there's a little bit of thread sitting there? I'll fix that on the next pass. So we're going to pick up our ZoliDuo, our next one, but we're going to go through the left ZoliDuo. And even I'm getting confused on which direction I need to go in. We need to pick up the left ZoliDuo through the smaller end from the tip side to the outer side. And then when you pull this down, this will allow your Zoli to sit in the correct orientation, so it's hugging the Ginko bead. And we're picking up our 4 11 O's to decorate the outside of the Zoli. And then we're going to go through that second hole of the Zoli on the bigger side. Just like that. Now to finish this off, we need to do the same thing that we did over here on this other side, and that was not spilling your beads everywhere. That was picking up a 15, an 8, and a 15. And then we go back through the Ginko bead on this side of the earring. So that is this portion of the step. So I will complete, or I'll let you get caught up with the completion of this, and then I'll go back and I'll tighten up that one little portion a little bit. And I'll meet you back and show you the next little portion to get from this side to this side of the earring. Alright, so I got everything tightened up. All I ended up doing is just tugging on these 4 seed beads a little bit, and in doing so that kind of tightened this up just a little bit as well. All it is that causes that is that my tension is not what I typically do, because usually I'm holding my thread like this and keeping my tension more taut. But when doing in videos and instructions and everything, it's kind of hard to do that because I want to make sure that you're seeing what I'm doing. So if something like that happens, just slow down and make sure your tension is the same throughout the product, and you should end up with a very nice looking earring at the end. So to get from where we're at, which was coming out of the rounded portion of this side of the Ginko, we want to continue through the tip or the point bead the point portion of the Zoli bead. I'm going through that first 11-0, which is fine because we need to go through the first and the second 11-0 that's sitting there. So I'm going to move this around a little bit again. So now we're going to go through that, just that second 11-0. And then here we're going to add an 8, an 11, and an 8, and an 11. So 2 8s and 2 11s. Then we're going to pull that down to the product. We're going to skip over that last 11 that we did, so this is similar to what we were doing with the gemstone bead. Skip over that last 11, go back through the 8, the 11, and an 8, and then tug on your thread a little bit and make sure there's no threads showing. Then we want to pass through that 11 that's down here in the grouping of 4, going in the same direction again that we did originally. And when you do that, that puts our beads sitting like this. So now we need to get back up to this bead, so continue back through the 8, 11, 8. Now on this one, you want to make sure that you're going through the 11 from the left side to the right. You want to be going towards the inner portion of your product. You don't want to be going towards the outer portion. It just makes it a little bit easier and a less amount of thread passes that you have to go through your beads doing it this way. And it'll still work if you go the other way. It's just more passes of beads. So to add this one, we're going to add an 11-0. Our ZoliDuo going to the right. We're going to pick up this Zoli in that tip portion of the bead again. But this time we're going from the outer part towards the tip part. And then this will go directly into this ZoliDuo that's sitting right there, going from the rounded portion to the tip. And then that should put your Zoli hugging up against your Ginko bead. Now this is looking a little strange, but we're going to fix that in just a minute, so don't worry about that. Now we're coming out of the Ginko, we need to get back to the Zoli again. We're going to add our 15, 8, 15, and then go through that outer hole, or the larger hole of the Zoli. Now we need to complete our 4 beads that we have here that are supposed to decorate the Zoli. We already have 2 of them sitting there. We have this one and this one. So now we're going to add 2 more of our 11s. Then we're going to go through the 2 11s that are already sitting there. And then when you do that, that now gets the 11, the 2 first 11s to sit a little bit better along the side of that ZoliDuo. So now what do we do to get to this side? We're going to continue through the Zoli, continue through the Ginko, if you can get to it. Here again, I'm going to flip it in my hands a little bit again, if I don't keep dropping it. And see how my ZoliDuo is sticking out towards the top? I don't know if you can see that or not. But it's kind of sticking out towards the top, so I want to make sure that goes towards the back and that my seed beads are sitting out towards the front. Then we're going to continue through the 5 beads from the very beginning. So the 15, the 3 11s, and the 15, so we can come out the other side. Go back through the Ginko bead. So we're set up to add our last ZoliDuo. Try not to go through the 11-0 like my needle wants to right now. You don't want to go back through that 11-0 right now. And then this one, we're picking up our last one, which is another left ZoliDuo. And we're going through the tip, or the smaller side of the bead, from the tip to the outer edge. Then we can go ahead and add our 4 11-0s here. We're just basically doing the same thing that we've been doing on the other 3 parts. And just adding a couple beads here and there. So then we're going to go back through the ZoliDuo on the bigger side, or the bigger edge. And then we have to add our 3 seed beads from over here. So again, that was a 15, 8, 15. And then go back through the Ginko bead towards the middle of the product. So now when you have everything sitting like that, it should look something similar to this. So now all we have to do is complete this little portion right here. To do that, continue through your Zoli. If you catch on to that first 11-0, perfect, because you need to go through that one plus the second one. There, my tension was a little loose again, so I got that fixed. So now we're coming out of that second 11-0, and this is where we add our 8, 11, and 8. And all we're doing here is just going down to the 11-0s that are sitting along the other side of the earring. We're going to go through that second 11-0, just like we did over here on this side. Then we're going to round it back out and go back through the 3 beads that we just added. And once you do that, then your earring is almost complete. So we need to complete this stitch by going back through that second 11-0 here on the edge, and go back through from going from the left to the right side, because we came out of the right side previously to add these beads on, so we want to make sure that's a complete round. So now all we have to do is just add our jump ring on and our wire guard, or jump ring or your wire guard, whichever one you choose to use, and then our ear wire after that. So to do that, I want to get back to the starter thread. I'm just going to follow my thread path, go back through the other two seed beads, 11-0s that are sitting there, the ZoliDuo, the 15, and the 8. I'm going to cheat on this one, and instead of going through that 15 that was in that 15, 8, 15 combo, I'm going to jump to the back and actually catch on to the 15 that is from the very first one. So it's the 15, the 3 11s, and the 15 on that side. So I can get back to where my starter thread was. And then make sure you go through that 15. And then that is where we put that knot. So we're just going to make a simple little knot here. So here again, just right over left, or with me, I make a loop, and the smaller portion will go through that loop facing me. I'll make another loop, and then that smaller portion of thread will go through the loop going away from me. And then when you have that, all you have to do now is just take your thread burner, burn down the edge of the thread. You want about a 1/4 of an inch, sometimes an 1/8 of an inch is perfect, especially in earring. You can get a smaller amount. And then you just burn down the edges close to that knot. And now your knot is on the back of your product, so you won't be able to see that. And then now all we have to do is just add our findings. So go ahead and get that portion done, and then meet me back and I'll show you that last step. Okay, so now all we have left to do is just add our jump ring. To do that, you'll need 2 sets of pliers. To open your jump ring, you put 1 set of pliers on the open, or on the jump ring, and the other set on the other side of the opening, and then just twist open. So you want your jump ring to look something similar to that. We're going to choose which side of our earring is going to be the top. I'm going to go ahead and do this side as the top. We're going to go through that middle 11-0 of the grouping of 5 from the very beginning. In this part, you just have to be ever so careful and just make sure you wiggle the jump ring through, and it should go through. Sometimes it can get a little tight. Sometimes it's the bead, sometimes it's the jump ring. It kind of just depends, but eventually you'll get it in there. Just be careful with it, just take it slow, and you'll get it in there. Now you can add the ear wire in 2 different ways. I'm going to go ahead and add mine here, just because I already have the jump ring open, but you can always close the jump ring and then open your ear wire. Just make sure your ear wire is facing in the correct direction, because I have the front side facing me, so I want to make sure that the earring the point of the ear wire is going towards the back. And then you just take your your pliers again and put pliers on either side, and your jump ring is open right now, and we just need to twist it back closed. And you'll almost feel a little bit of a click, and then that way you'll know your jump ring is closed. And then that is your earring complete. So now we have a pair of our Regal Picture earrings. So I would like to say thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate the watch, as well as if you would like to like and or subscribe to my channel, that helps me out greatly, as well as leaving any comments. Definitely leave comments, give me ideas of other things you'd like to see, and other ideas that's just on your mind. It's perfectly fine. Also, don't forget that these kits are available in my Etsy shop. All that information is down below again. And go on to my Etsy shop and check that out if you are interested. So thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. Y'all have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.